So you're here, can you heal me?
Yeah.
That's probably like the first thing somebody says, please, can you heal me?
Big misconception.
Yeah, exactly.
And all healing is really self-healing. Bright and cheery, and that I should do body talk on them. Kids do this. It's amazing. They will walk in and say, that person over there, because it's a spa, the one getting the pedicure, she needs body talk. Yeah.
Welcome to The Search for Wellness, a podcast dedicated to discovering the path to a healthier, more fulfilling life. Join us on this heartfelt journey as we share inspiring stories, insightful conversations, and practical tips to nurture your mind, body, and spirit. All right, I'd like to introduce Janet today. Janet?
Thanks. My name is Janet Patry, and I am a Body Talk Practitioner, and I work at Aura Wellness here in Nairobi, in Gigiri.
And how long have you been a Body Talk practitioner for?
I got certified in 2020. I trained in 2018, and then I was practicing for a good 2 years before I got certified. So I've been doing it 4 years, full-time, 6 days a week for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what led you to become a Body Talk practitioner?
It's been quite a journey. So I've always been a people person. So I'm just always fascinated by what makes people tick, their behaviors, what drives them, all this. And I had a career in human resources where I specialized in training and development and emotional intelligence. So I feel like it kind of naturally progressed, but really the major changing point in my life is actually when I came to Kenya. So I came here just on a holiday in 2007, and I volunteered at a children's home. And there were 22 girls, and they weren't in school. And so I went back to the U.S. I'm from New York. When I went back to the U.S., I started a nonprofit to help those girls go to school. Fast forward several years, because that was a while ago now, I moved to Kenya in 2012 after flying back and forth for a while, but I felt I needed to be closer to the program. So in 2012, when I really was on the ground, I started to realize these kids needed a lot of trauma healing. So it started with trying to help other people heal from trauma. So I was looking for all kinds of modalities. We tried everything from CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, EFT tapping. We did yoga. We did all kinds, meditation, visualizations. We were doing everything. And it was working. But then as they got older, the oldest kids of the group, right around 17, 18, is when the full-blown trauma really starts to surface. And there was one situation that was quite bad, where one of the girls was homicidal, suicidal, and I just looked upwards and was like, I need a solution for this child. And the next day on a WhatsApp group that I belong to, someone posted this thing about body talk. And I had just read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. I don't know if you've ever read that.
Yes, I have.
But it's a very, interesting take on how trauma gets stored in the body.
Yeah.
So my mind was already going to that place of emotions and things getting stuck and not being able to access that. And so it really resonated, just this flyer. Something changed in me in that moment. So I went. And I was like, this is incredible. Let me go for it before I take this girl. I want to make sure that it works. And my mind was blown in the session on me.
Yeah.
I could not believe what the practitioner picked up. And my first practitioner was MJ.
Yeah.
And she just blew my mind with what she knew. And I felt incredible right after, immediate results. And so I just asked her, how do I learn this? Because I feel like I can't know this and then not use it. And she was saying that the whole flyer was about the training was the next week. So I brought my daughter, and I brought her for the session, and she had, within like 30 minutes, kids are fast, right? Yeah. So it switched immediately in her also. She went in feeling really moody, angry, a lot of anxiety, and came out beaming. And I'm just like, okay, I need to know this. Yeah. And so I took the training. It was available the next week, took it, and I knew then I was going to do this. It was just a matter of figuring out exactly when I was going to do it full time. But I continued. I was a consultant for emotional intelligence. And so I kept doing that and part time doing the body talk until, I mean, COVID kind of helped me get certified because it slowed my life down. And then when Aura Wellness opened in Gigiri, I moved there, and then I've had a full-time practice since then.
And you're there 6 times a week.
Yeah, I'm there 6 days a week. So the only day I'm not there is Sundays.
And you're really busy and you're really booked out.
Yes, because I'm booked out because it works.
It
People
works.
have very positive results from it, and it's life-changing because it really aligns you with your whole life. So the thing about Body Talk is it's addressing your mind, it's addressing your emotions, it's addressing your body, but it's addressing the entire environment that you live in and also the planet. We're connected to everything. And so when you're working on what you think is an isolated issue or an isolated injury or illness, it's not. It's connected into this whole thing. And so when you're clearing that and the energy starts to flow again, a person's life is different. People will interact with them differently. And it's never something so, you can't always define it, what it is, but people will come to me and say, people are telling me I'm different. And I was like, yeah, that's like the best compliment of Body Talk is that you're different, that you've changed, that you're more at ease, that you're more comfortable with who you are. You aren't acting out in the same way. You aren't reactive. You know, you're just there.
Would you say it's an energy upgrade?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's an energy upgrade and first I would say it's an energy alignment. So it works with all the energy systems of the body, the chakras, the meridians, the Wei Qi. And once those are balanced, what it does is it activates the innate intelligence of the body. So the body has its own self-healing mechanisms. And it just activates that and the body starts to heal itself. And so when all those things are in alignment, you can then receive higher energy frequencies into your body without it being really disruptive. So if you aren't in that balanced state energetically and there are high frequencies around you, it can make you very uncomfortable. High anxiety, dizzy spells. So, I mean, it can be different for anyone. You can feel physical pain. It'll manifest differently in everyone. But yeah, that's how you align first, and then you can get the energy upgrades.
So say if I got some tragic news, it's going to go and manifest it's going to go and do something in my body, right?
Sure, you're going to have a physical response. You're going to have a physiological response to that. You're going to have the emotional, the mental, and somewhere in your body. So most often it's the nervous system. You know, major news, shocking news will put you into a state of shock most often. People go into fight or flight. And so when that happens, the first thing we do is pull the person out of shock. And when you pull them out of shock, then you can help them work through what's happening. They come back more into their grounded, balanced mind and can begin to process. But all things are their own journey, right? It doesn't magically make you not grieve something or anything like that. You're still going to go through that grieving journey, but it will help you process it and release it from the body. But most often in life, we don't get that time. So I'm from the US. In the US, if someone close to you passes, right, you get 3 days max. Off.
To grieve, yeah.
Yes. And so you come right back into the workplace. Maybe you have a really intense job, high stress, and you don't ever process. You just get right back into work and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing. And it's not until maybe you slow down that all of a sudden this anxiety rises up, the grief is there, your body feels heavy, you start getting physical pain. Again, it can manifest any way in someone. But it takes its toll on the body because it didn't get processed and worked through. So you'll start to see symptoms.
And Body Talk can help somebody process.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And so basically your body's always talking to you, right? It's talking with symptoms. So let's say you keep getting a headache or stomach pains and you're taking Panadol because you have to get to work, you got to take care of the kids, the things you have to do, you just got to move on.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. But over time, it's going to keep getting louder and louder and more painful. And so if we ignore what our body is trying to tell us, it's going to try to get our attention in more dramatic ways. And so what Body Talk does, and it's why it's like my go-to modality, it goes to the story that's underneath the symptom. So when your body is under a great deal of stress for prolonged periods of time, the communication system breaks down. So that innate intelligence that's trying to do the self-healing can't, because the energy is blocked or locked, or we're tense, we're contracted. There's so many different reasons why. And so in Body Talk, we use muscle testing. So you're just laying on the bed, and I put 2 fingers under the wrist, and I'm just moving the wrist up and down. I calibrate the wrist to what a yes is and what a no is. So it's not some woo-woo weird stuff happening out there. I'm actually saying this is a yes, this is a no, and then I'm asking questions in my head, and I'm getting answers to it. So the answers are coming through the body, but I'm the one picking up that information. And so I'm just doing that, and I'm figuring out where in the body, based on those answers, are those energy blocks. And then through some deep breathing and some tapping, you tap on the head, you tap on the heart, and you tap on the navel, which are 3 major energy centers. And in Body Talk, we think of them as 3 brains. And you need all 3 brains talking to one another in synchronization in order for the body to be able to come into balance and then heal itself. So underneath whatever those symptoms are is that story. And so typically through a series of questions, I can help the person identify what created these symptoms to begin with, and we can talk through it and then do the tapping. But for a lot of people, they don't even want to know. They don't want to relive a trauma. And this is what really got me into Body Talk. So you don't always have to relive it. Some modalities really get a person to start talking about the trauma, and then it re-triggers them. And so in Body Talk, I can figure out what that story is. I think one of the most common situations would be along sexual assault.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to retell that story, right?
Yeah.
And so as it comes up, I don't tell anything to the client, I just direct them where to put their hands on their body. So sometimes that can be in the heart, it can be here, anywhere. So their hands are on the body, and then I begin the tapping on them and the deep breathing with them and helping them release the emotions attached. Shame sometimes, guilt sometimes, fear, dread, anger. It can be so many things. Deep sorrow, grief. All I'm telling them is to release that emotion. And so we just keep working on that. And usually the emotion rises up, and I give them time to really release that. And sometimes memories come back, and sometimes they'll share, sometimes they don't. But the whole goal is to release the energy so that you can come into balance. And then when you do, something as significant as a sexual assault trauma changes. The perception of the whole event changes. And I'll have people tell me, I see it all very differently now. Like, I'm okay. I'm not going to carry this burden the rest of my life.
And now, how many sessions would that take for somebody to see that?
No rules around that. So sometimes, it's one and done. And other times a person comes back. We're never dealing with the exact same thing.
Situation, yeah.
It's just that it can be interconnected with other trauma. If someone has had a lifetime of trauma, they're going to need layers of healing because it's a process, and the body can only take so much of that at a time. So the thing I also love about Body Talk is it prioritizes the need in the moment. So you can come to me telling me, here's my problem, I need to sort this out, and your body tells me something else.
Yeah.
It's saying, no, let's start here. And as we rebalance something else, you start to feel differently about the thing you thought you came in for, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess I don't really need that. Or it gets addressed in a future session. But at the end of every Body Talk session, I do the same series of questioning where I ask, do you need a future session? And I'm not asking you, I'm asking through the wrist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does she need a future session?
Yeah.
If so,
Because I was
when?
just thinking, you didn't ask me that.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm asking
Yeah.
through the innate intelligence. And so I just say, does she need a future session? If so, when? And is it a specific practitioner? Because sometimes you need someone else that's not me.
Oh.
And so among the Body Talk practitioners here in Kenya, we're constantly sending clients to one another so that the client gets another experience with somebody else. Because we're all trained in the same thing, but there are levels of training. So some are very senior, like MJ, and then others, it's more just a different approach. So I'm trained in emotional intelligence, life coaching, Reiki, access bars. And so all those things can play into my session, whereas somebody else may have a very significant other modality that this person needs. And so the combination, and that's the other thing about Body Talk, it works with all other modalities. On the actual protocol chart, it can take me to other modalities.
So you can combine Body Talk with Reiki, or what do you normally combine it with?
So again, I'm not in charge.
Okay.
The innate wisdom is guiding me. So I wouldn't say I normally do anything. I'm open to whatever I'm guided to do through this muscle testing. So Reiki symbols come up a lot, where I'm just tracing a Reiki symbol on someone and it helps sort of activate that Reiki energy in them. What I am finding recently is that a lot of people are realizing that they have like a lot more healing capability than they realized. So they're starting to understand how energy works and being able to heal themselves. And so when I realized that, with some of those Reiki symbols come in handy to help them activate it. So you can activate on the palms and then they can be doing their own self-healing. So my goal is to really help people learn this for themselves, how to tune into your body, how to figure out what's happening, ask questions. You'll innately know what's happening, and then breathing and tapping and releasing. And that's how it works. That I'm just a facilitator of that process. I'm not a healer.
Yeah, and that was going to my next question is, I'm sure you get this a lot. People come up to you going, oh, so you're here, can you heal me?
Yeah.
That's probably like the first thing somebody says, please, can you heal me?
Big misconception.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and also healing is not curing, right? Healing is more a process of aligning and releasing and letting go of things so your body is lighter. And I would say curing is this, oh, there's a tumor and it dissolves and all of these. That's the mentality, I'll say, without getting into the depths of this. And all healing is really self-healing, because it's your journey. So it's your body, right? And something got locked inside of you. And when you release that energy, that's when the healing begins. I can help you identify that. That's what I love about this work. I can help you get to that point where we're coming into more alignment energetically. And from that point, you can do some deep healing. But I've had clients where I'll ask them, because it'll come up that there's this deep anger and resentment, like say in an ovarian cyst. I'm just making examples here. So ovarian cyst, there's some deep anger. And then I'll ask, do you feel like you need to forgive someone? And, yes, I do, but I'm not going to. And I'll say, okay, I understand that. Maybe we talk through that anger. Do you want to talk about it at all? Yeah. And then they launch into this whole history with a relationship with somebody, romantic, family, doesn't matter, right? There's a whole story. And then I explain that in order to heal this, it's already revealed now, right? Now we know what this block is. In order to heal it, you have to help clear it from the energy system. And do you feel like you want to let go of this by letting go of the anger you're holding towards that person, because it's only hurting us. Like if we're holding the anger, it stays locked inside us. It doesn't do anything to the other person. We're the ones suffering. And so I try to get to the person to the point where they understand that letting this go serves them.
Yeah, it doesn't serve the other person in any way whatsoever.
No.
And holding on to anger is actually, you're using a lot more energy to hold on to anger, to hold on to frustration, to hold on to negative things. You use a lot more energy to do that.
Absolutely. And it will cause havoc. It'll wreak havoc in your body. You will get all kinds of symptoms that you'll ignore or that you'll take pills for, but you'll never get to the root cause of. You're just dealing with the symptoms.
You're just suppressing the emotion.
And so the thing about that I like about Body Talk is it works with medication. It works with these other things. I would never have a client come in and say, don't take medication. You know, I would say, okay, let's work through the emotions, and then maybe somewhere down the line, you feel you want to go off medication, then you go talk to your doctor about that. And I have worked with some people that are coming off of maybe medication they're addicted to. So sometimes painkillers, sometimes anti-anxieties can be addicting. So if they're addicted to something, I can work with their practitioner and them and help them reduce the dosages. And sometimes that anxiety that rises up gives us an opportunity to do the healing. So as they reduce the dose and that trauma comes back, then we can identify it and let that go. So, but I mean, in Body Talk, we don't prescribe anything. We don't tell people to take things or not take things, nothing like that.
Do you give them any homework?
Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it comes up, forgiveness work, and I'll give them some worksheets for that. That's from life coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a lot of my life coaching tools with Body Talk to give someone homework where I know that they're still like resisting something. And so I'll give them that, and that will help them. And then when they come back, they're usually in a better place for letting go. You know, sometimes you just have to go through the journey and the realization of what has happened, acknowledge it, and then it can already begin to heal from that point. But you have to get yourself into a place of comfort and a little bit of harmony and peace in the body and the mind in order to cope with things. So that's kind of the first step. You know, like that pulling someone out of shock. Now let's begin to process this. Yeah.
And does it work on kids?
It does fantastically. So I love working with kids. I feel kids are really switched on, and I feel kids are here to educate us. I feel the next generation is just so intelligent along the lines of energy especially. So I'll have kids come in. They will jump on the table, lay down, and tell me what they need. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let me just double check with the muscle testing. And sure enough, they're spot on. They'll tell me the color of my aura. They will tell me the color of their own.
Wow.
They will tell me who they passed on the way in, whose aura was not bright and cheery, and that I should do Body Talk on them. Kids do this. It's amazing. They will walk in and say, that person over there, because it's a spa, the one getting the pedicure, she needs Body Talk. Yeah. And sometimes they'll walk right up to the client at the end. You should get Body Talk.
You're like, oh God, I didn't say that.
Yeah, that sounds like I'm trying to promote myself, you know. But these kids, they just know stuff. And they'll tell their parents, like, I need to go see Janet. There's something I want to tap out and clear. Yeah. And they come, and they're just incredible. So we have a lot of fun. You know, the one thing I do notice about kids is they lack the patience for a full hour session. So kids sessions are usually pretty quick because they're not going into the story. Adults usually like to tell the story and feel validated and heard. And I honor and respect that. And I think that's important. So it tends to be much longer with adults. But with kids, they're like, here's my issue, and now I want to go. And usually they know that it's the last tap out. They're like, we're done after this. They just know they're finished.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just so intuitive. I love it. I really love working with kids. They're fun.
And do you have to believe for somebody to come to do Body Talk with you, or to just come and see you, for instance? Like if I was to send someone to you and they're like, I don't believe this is going to work. Obviously, the fundamental is they need to first believe it's going to work.
Right. So lots of people come testing it. And this is where I like to tell people, I am not a psychic. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on. I have to tune in and get that information. But if you're completely closed off and you don't want healing, then I'm not going to be able to help you so much. It's if you're here just to test me, you'll still be surprised because the body comes anyway. Even if this is the game they have to play, the innate intelligence has a sense of humor, if you ask me. I personally think so. Because it's directly connected to the divine aspect of you, right? And I think the divine is super funny and comical and has a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes that's how people get pushed into healing, is they're like, go test her. Go see if she even knows what she's doing. And so they'll come in, and I'm fine with that. I was skeptical too. I didn't know or understand it in the beginning. So that's okay. And I just see what comes up. And whatever comes up for them in that session usually resonates more than with a client who came in believing and is like, yeah, I want to have this deep healing. It's the ones who really question it that go, oh, what? How can you know that? And I'm like, it's not me.
It's your body
you,
talking.
It's your body. Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny. Sometimes with kids, they make me laugh because, I'm working with the wrist. So the kids will be like, I had one girl telling me, stop telling Janet so much information.
She was talking to her hand.
It was so funny. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so comical with kids. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not going to get any information that you don't want me to know. That's for sure. Nothing's going to come up. And if there is something, like I mentioned earlier, something that may be along the lines of sexual assault or something, I don't say that. It's more because I could be wrong. I would never just assign my meaning of something to that. So I just go about the session asking questions, tapping, breathing, and typically they'll say it, not me.
But you said that you're not psychic.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like there might be just some part of you that might be like, like your intuition or something has to click?
So in Body Talk, we're also trained in a modality called Mindscape. And Mindscape is this really powerful state that you go into. It's alpha mind, where you're very relaxed, but you're very aware and awake at the same time. You're smiling like you know it. Are you trained in Mindscape?
No, but I know it. I know all the I know mindscaping a little bit, but I know about the states,
waves.
The brain waves, yes.
So when you're in that state of mind, you are much more intuitively focused. I'm focused on the client, nothing else, right? So of course the information coming is going to be from them, but I don't have like a crystal ball and know about a person's future or anything like that. I just, I will give little breadcrumbs of information to help them piece the story together. I can't really piece the whole story together. I'll just get pieces of information. I'm highly, highly visual. So sometimes instead of getting just like a simple answer, I get like a really dramatic picture in my head and I'll just be like, okay, let me describe to you what I'm seeing right now. And I'll be like, it's a purple tortoise. And, sometimes people are like, I have no idea what that is or what that means. And I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. And we keep going. And then go through the whole session. They feel better. They feel lighter when they leave. And then 3 days later, they send me a photo of a purple tortoise. And they're like, you're not going to believe. There was someone in their life. This is a real story, actually.
Okay.
There was a purple tortoise came up. I was just like, I don't know what this means. This is what I'm seeing. So that's the only time I would say some psychic information comes. But so it comes up. In the session, it means nothing. And then maybe a few days or a week later, she sends me this photo and it's a sticker of a purple tortoise.
Oh,
and
wow.
There was some saying that was on it, which I don't remember. But the point was it was given to her by someone she was having so much conflict with. And after her Body Talk session, she reached out to this person and said, can we just talk? Like, it's really bothering me that we're letting this thing blow up and all this stuff. And she had come from something and got a sticker. And it was a purple tortoise. And she was like, here, I got you one as a peace offering.
Wow.
Isn't that bizarre?
That is so bizarre.
So things like that. So I always just trust the process. Whatever comes up, I'm just like, okay. And that's the biggest thing, going back to, the whole idea of, do they have to believe? I think you don't necessarily have to be a big believer, but being open serves your highest good.
This podcast was created to inspire and connect with people. If you are liking the content of this podcast, hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and share this platform. Lots of love. So what kind of conditions can you address with Body Talk?
Anything of the mind, the body, the emotions, and the environment. So I can address anything from like allergies in the environment to toxic relationships in the environment, to liver conditions, heart conditions, any physical conditions in the body, a lot of gut-related things, emotional trauma. So if someone's experiencing a lot of anxiety, depression, issues with anger, uncontrolled emotions, addiction, seriously, anything the human being experiences, Body Talk
so
can
there's a
assist
lot.
with. Yeah, there's no limitation. It can deal with anything a human is dealing with.
And what kind of feedback do you usually receive after like a session with somebody?
Usually the first thing they say is, I feel lighter. It just feels like you've lifted some heaviness out of the body. And that's the letting go part of it, right? And the added energies, the increased energies, that really helps. So usually pain relief. Sometimes someone can come in with some pain, headaches, backaches, and by the end of the session, the pain is greatly reduced, sometimes gone within a few days. Usually it's different. Lots of people report a shift in perspective. So something changes in the way you see situations, or you see yourself, or you see the world. It's powerful stuff. So those are, everyone is different. Everyone has a different experience of the session. But those are the most common ones, I would say. Yeah.
My experience was, obviously I came to see you, and I'd just come back from my retreat in Barcelona for the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation retreat.
Amazing. Love him.
Yeah, he is the best. And I remember you saying to me that I didn't even, and I remember this really well. I was very careful. I told you I went for a meditation, but I didn't tell you who I went to do the meditation with initially. And then you did the body talk on me and the tapping. And then you asked me if and I can't remember exactly what you said, but you asked me that, was there some sort of meditation where you were changing your belief system?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
I do remember it now, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yes. And then I mentioned Dr. Joe, and you said, yes, I know him very well. And I know his work very well. I'm also really passionate about what he does. And then you said that your body is going through an upgrade right now. It's actually going into a shift, and I'm just going to boost the upgrade. And I think you did, because then that night I felt like I was going through these tunnels and I was literally going through these portals, and I was moving really fast, and I was like, woke up going, wow. And I remembered everything, and I was like, what was that? And I feel like that was probably my upgrade.
Yeah, and just to explain upgrades, because maybe sometimes people don't know, it's just moving from one frequency to another. So everything is frequency, right?
Yeah.
So dense emotions are dense frequencies. They're heavier frequencies. And so, yeah, I remember that now. I tend not to remember anything about people's sessions. They have to remind me, because otherwise I'd be walking around with a library of information, which I don't need or want. But yeah, like if you're doing all this other work in your life and then you're coming for Body Talk, usually I know the whole reason I knew you were going through an upgrade was because I was working in the higher chakras. Like I could see that that's where everything was moving into. And so that's what made me realize what was happening for you. But it's just basically you moving from a higher to a higher frequency, and then you see differently, right? It's like perspective. So you're always seeing at whatever frequency you're operating at. So if your frequency is, say, down in, sadness, maybe you've been through a breakup, right? So heartache, you're going to notice lots of heartache, the heartache of the world, sad situations that are happening. If you are in a higher frequency where you're madly in love, you start seeing love everywhere, and you love and you love life. And so you always see that. So for you, that upgrade was just giving you a whole new perspective on energy, and those going through those energy portals is taking you to higher realms of consciousness, which is so cool.
And when you are on a higher energy level, you attract people on that higher energy level, and people who are maybe on a lower energy level are not so attracted towards you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When you're operating at a higher frequency, first of all, your body is healthier, right? Because you can't have dis-ease in a body that is vibrating at a higher frequency. But yes, you will also find more like-minded people that are operating in that same kind of mentality. And yeah, you'll see your friend groups change, family relationships change. That's the power of all this is, you will find more and more people coming into your environment that are more on your frequency. But you're also able, and the important thing in all this is you're also able to recognize more when you're at that higher frequency what someone needs, And so something that may have triggered you previously, the way someone is behaving, you're at a higher frequency and you're okay. So it doesn't trigger you, and you can actually direct like loving light and compassion towards someone that you may not have had patience or compassion for earlier, which shows you the power of healing. So when you do your own self-healing and your energies are increasing and you've filled your vessel with all the good self-love and you're in your personal power, then you're giving from that overflowing energy coming from you and not giving from your depletion, right? And so you're putting that out into the world, which is healing the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I wanted to ask you another question. I know that you work with quantum healing and grid work also. So what are some of the misconceptions you would say around that? Maybe you want to explain first what that is.
Yeah, so working in the quantum realm, that's where Body Talk is working essentially. But I think a lot of people believe it's spontaneous healing. It can be. Spontaneous healing can take place in the quantum realm. So that is where all possibilities exist. And so if you can get someone to be in a frame of mind where complete healing is the only possibility they're focused on, tumors do in fact shrink, fibroids disappear, cysts go away. That does shift. Most people cannot get into that state of mind, right? But I think the misconception is that I go into the quantum realm and heal you, and then you walk away completely healed. And I'm like, no, we're both going to get into that quantum state and give you the best opportunity for healing, but the healing is self-healing. So you have to take yourself through that journey and focus on that possibility and dissolve all the others. Does that make sense?
Completely.
Yeah.
To me, yes.
Yeah. So it's like you have to dissolve all other things as a potential outcome, right? So if someone has cancer, you know, that's such like a high, that has a high frequency in terms of not here, but like charged, emotionally charged word, comes with so much fear, comes with the basic fear of death, right? So someone has cancer and they come in trying to dissolve that whole concept that they have cancer and getting them into the state of feeling 100% healed and healthy is the first level, right? And then if they can maintain that belief system and that frequency and go about life knowing they are completely healed in a state of gratitude, in a state of joy, it does, in fact, the cancer cannot remain in the body in most cases. But here's back to your question, where it's very hard to prove that it was the quantum realm that contributed to this, because in the quantum realm, there's the observer effect, which some argue that also. But basically, if we're sitting in the dark and we have no idea what the other person looks like or what's happening or anything, and then we turn the light on, everything changes because we were in the dark and now you're perceiving differently in the light. So when you're perceiving something differently, how do you prove that it was the shift in the perception that changed that person's body physically, right? So I would say there's a lot around quantum healing that is hard to prove, but over and over again, it baffles doctors. They look at their test results and say, there must have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll tell the patient, no, we must have given the wrong scans to you something. There's no way you could have healed yourself.
Yeah.
So it's belief systems, but like Joe Dispenza says, heal your mind and you'll heal your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Your mind is the most powerful thing you have. And if you change your belief system, then you can change anything. Like I always say, I was like, I am not that person anymore that had the cancer before. I'm not in that body anymore.
Yeah.
I've had a complete upgrade and I've shifted my energy and I've come to a point where I feel like I have realigned myself, but I also am so much more aware, like what you were saying earlier about frequencies and energies and how a child feels. I almost feel like that now. It's like I could walk around and be like, no, like I can't deal with that energy. If I feel like I'm in a place where now the energy is kind of dysregulating to her and I'm like, time for me to leave, and I will leave that place.
I very much, used to be, still am like that. Yeah, I'll pick up energies like that. Yeah, it's intense too. Sometimes where it comes very quickly, you're like, can't be here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. To your question about the grid work.
Yes.
So the planet, the cosmos, everything has energetic grids. The easiest way to describe that, longitude, latitude, the lines, right? We measure timelines that way, all kinds of things. If you take that image and you apply it to the body has its own energetic grid. This room has its own energetic grid. Nairobi has an energetic grid. There are these layers of grids. And within the grids, there are these energy lines. In the same way that energy can be trapped in my body, energy can get stuck in a grid. And you can see that in certain areas of the world, certain locations. You'll see it even in like weather patterns developing in certain places. You see all the crazy weather we're having. That's a lot of just chaotic energy on the planet. So grid work is working with the grids, not just of the body, but of the whole planet. And so sometimes I do that work too, but their misconceptions would be that either things are fixed. So going back to psychics, when they're predicting, and some are very accurate, right? They're predicting an event. Everything is in constant motion. So there's no way you could 100% guarantee that thing's going to happen, because if the whole world somehow has some sort of belief system shift, an energetic shift, that may end up not happening. And so there are a lot of light workers. So a lot of energy workers are called light workers, right? Light is energy. It's all the same. And so we can tune into those grids and unblock things that are stuck. And you can watch behaviors change in that area. Or you can, maybe there was a garden, for example, and by the way, you can do body talk on nature. So flowers, gardens, everything, and animals. I don't specialize in those, but there are people that specialize in it here in Kenya.
How interesting.
Yeah, and they can make your garden flourish. They can make your animals behave differently. Yeah, they work with animals. It's incredible. So all of this is energy. All of it is connected. So I would say if someone is predicting, and there's a lot of stuff in the news a lot of times where there's predictive programming that this is going to happen, the next pandemic, these things, and then the fear starts to feed the next pandemic. But if we all kind of step back and think only of the world we want, we are contributing to the frequency of that grid, and the grid will better reflect our mindset, our hopes, our dreams. And that's what we should be working towards in terms of the grid work. But I think a lot of people don't believe that there are these energetic grids. And then we could go down a whole rabbit hole, ley lines, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, there are lots of questions about how do you prove these things? It's tough to prove quantum things. But when you see the results of it all the time in your life, I don't really worry about outcomes, expectations. Someone comes in, they want something very specific. I'm not in charge. This is the innate intelligence of a person, or if I'm working on a business, body talk can be done on businesses, on cities. So I've been doing a lot of work on Kenya because of the protests and the uprisings. And so a lot of the work that I'm doing is, to bring more peace and harmony to the energy in the environment within Kenya. And then, of course, there's the greater grid of Africa, and then it just keeps going and going. And so it's just a heavy focus on peace and harmony, but I can actually do body talk. So it's the same as if Kenya were represented as a body. And then you were tapping. And I would do the same tapping out on that, and it clears out old belief systems, stuck energy, resentments, and it's all rising up. You can see it coming up in the conversations that are out there. And it's just helping to bring new perspectives. So the goal here is the shift in the perspective. Nothing will change unless the perspective changes. And so that's what you're going for. So I would never want to have a specific expectation that a person coming or doing grid work is going to turn out a specific way. I don't hold on to that. So for example, if I did peace and harmony grid work on Kenya and the next day there were protests and people died, like, it doesn't mean it didn't work. You know, there are major shifts that are still happening and they're unfolding, and you don't assign any specific outcome to the session because there are so many factors at play.
But you know, like with Dr. Joe, when he does the healing, when you have the healie and then you have the healers who do the coherence healing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very similar situation, I would say, like where if you had a collective body talk practitioners doing this at one go, then the magnitude and the impact of the healing on, let's say, the planet or on Kenya or on Nairobi would be on a much larger scale.
Yes.
So can somebody else, like, let's say if I want to become a body talk practitioner, is that possible? Like,
yes. Anybody, first of all, you need no special skills to be a body talk practitioner. You need no background in medicine, nothing like that.
Okay.
Anybody can learn this. If anything, it is the most sensible thing to learn because it will make so much sense to you just when you start understanding how everything works. So anybody can do it. There is a trainer here in Kenya, Minal Shah.
Yeah.
She starts with 5 basic techniques in Access. It's called Body Talk Access. And then from there, you can do the fundamentals training, which is what I trained in, and you become a certified Body Talk practitioner. And then from there, it just keeps going. There are many, many levels.
All the doors keep opening up.
Yes. And so anybody can do this. And I highly encourage people to do this because I think this is the way of the future. So I think we need a lot more of combining the holistic energies with our holistic medicine with Western medicine, because there's so much around our mindsets and our belief systems that will contribute to our well-being or our sick state. And so I think if we start getting more of this stuff into the mainstream Western medicine, you'll see a huge shift in the well-being of people in general.
Yeah.
Which is what we want. We want a healthier planet. We want healthier people, healthier minds.
And as a body talk practitioner, you know, because you are helping other people using a modality to help them find their own healing in their body. So it's like almost like you're tapping the body's innate healing to kind of wake up and do the work.
Exactly.
But do you have to do anything for yourself? Like, you know, because you're connecting yourself to all these energies throughout the day. I don't know how many patients you see in a day, but then does that not drain your own energy out too?
I love this question.
Yeah.
So I always start the day with the Access routine, Body Talk Access. You do those 5 basic techniques, which brings me into alignment. I always pull an energy field over me, a golden energy field.
I do that too.
And it protects you.
Yeah.
Even if it's just my belief system, that works.
Yeah,
So I pull that energy down. And then in Body Talk, we have a specific way of doing things where we pick up information without taking it on. If I took on everyone's trauma all day long, I wouldn't even make it to lunchtime. I would be on the floor. Yeah, it's just all of it is light and information, right? So you don't get stuck in the emotional charges of the person because you can't help them from that place, right? It's the whole concept of if someone is drowning and I don't know how to swim, I can't jump in and save them. I have to reach my hand and pull them to where I am. So it's that same concept where I'm picking up the information, but I'm not taking it on myself. That will make me unwell. So it's just I pick it up without taking it on, and we tap it and we clear it. And then I always like clear the energies of the room. I know I smelled sage when I came in here.
Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. So I use those also for clearing the space. And you just make a nice energy shift when you do that, so that when the next person comes in, that energy is cleared.
And crystals also help with that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not a crystal expert, but yes, crystals definitely help with that. Yeah, there are many ways to keep a space. And you've been in my space, and I'm very sensitive to those energies. So there'll be
such
times,
a beautiful space.
Yeah, there'll be times I do extra clearing just to get it to a certain feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what keeps you motivated and passionate about what you do in your work?
the results. I just keep seeing that it's changing my life. It changes other people's lives. There's nothing I want more than seeing people aligned with their life purpose. And when your body is in balance, your mind is in balance, your emotions are in check, you can align with your original blueprint, the plan you came in here for. I believe in that. Not everyone does. I don't think we're just here bouncing around.
No.
I think we are here with purpose and meaning. And when people get body talk and do their own self-healing, they align with their life purpose. And the more people aligned with their life purpose, the more it contributes to this beautiful community and unity of the planet. And who doesn't want that?
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Who has been your most influential person in your life, like your mentor?
I would say my mom has been a huge influence in my life. My mom's been through a lot. She's a warrior. She's incredible. And I feel like she's always supporting me and my sister. My sister's in the States. And I think my mom, she has a very different belief system and way of seeing the world. But my mom just lets me be me. And I think the greatest gift anyone can give their children or people in their lives is letting a person be who they are and not demanding them to change, accepting a person as they are. The change will come, but change always comes from within, But I think my mom has always just let me be that weirdo or that person that's a little different. And I think that's really important. So, and she just really inspires me with the way she just presses on and gets things done and moves about life. So I would say my mom.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
My mom too, actually, for me probably.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, so I know you practice Reiki. I would like to know how Reiki has changed your life.
So I started practicing Reiki. I got diagnosed with cervical cancer in July 2021. And that's exactly when I met my Reiki master in July 2021. And it's all like, how the universe just aligns and brings the people who are needed the most in your life at that moment. And at that moment, I didn't know that I needed her so badly.
Wow.
She came because my husband had COVID and she was actually doing some work with my mom on other stuff, and on my mom's got her own yoga practice and all of that. So she was following my mom on that. She lives in Bulgaria. And when my mom said, "Oh, I'm really worried. My son-in-law has COVID and he's not doing too well," she's like, "Let me work on him." And she called me up and she said, "Okay, let me speak to him." And she did some work on him and she said, "Yeah, he's fine. He seems okay and he'll get better, no worries." Wow. And then the second session, she said, "Oh, okay, let me work on him." And he was like not interested. And well, blessing to me, he was not interested. And I was like, and at that point, my husband was very like, he didn't believe in any of this stuff, but now he's a completely different person. So then I said, "Why don't you do it on me then?" Because I also had COVID, but I wasn't as unwell as he was. So she's like, "Okay, sure." So she did it on me. And then at around 7 o'clock, I was actually walking into this room. And she's like, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "Okay." And then she video called me, which I was like, "Okay, cool." She loves video calling because she wants to see your face and she wants to see your reaction. And so she's like, "There's something wrong with you." And I'm like, "Okay. Like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "No, there's something in your body that's growing. There's something, you need to go and see a doctor. You need to go and get this checked." And I said, "Well, I know that there is something off because I did do a pap smear and I was having this like random bleeding and stuff." And she's like, "Yeah, but it's not something light. You need to take it a bit more seriously. I mean, you could die from this." Literally, those were like her words indirectly. And I just was like really mortified and upset. Why? How dare this woman say this to me? I put the phone down and I was like, "Mom, who is this woman? How dare she say this to me?" And then I got diagnosed. And then after I got diagnosed, she was the only person I wanted to talk to. And after that, she literally initiated me, taught me how to do Reiki. We did the whole initiation, everything. And from that day till today, I have done Reiki on my body every single night. And she's like, "Don't do it to anyone else. Do it to yourself and only do it to your children." And she was in my life after my surgery, after everything. She's kind of like fizzled out of my life. I mean, we still keep in touch, but she's not like that prominent in my life. While I was in hospital after my surgery for the 3 days, her and my mom, she made my mom a Reiki master immediately because my mom had the like the leveling of becoming the energy of becoming one. They did Reiki on me, I think like 12 hours a day while I was in hospital. So yeah, so that's
What
my
a story. I wasn't
story.
expecting all that. That's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, so that's my story with Reiki. And so Reiki has saved my life, and even for my children, it's like helped them in many ways.
I can see the energy of your kids is very like chill, balanced. That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, it does, right?
Great.
So
Thanks.
thank you so much for today, Janet.
Thank you.
How can people find you, and how can they reach out to you for a Body Talk session?
So I have a website, overflowwellness.org, or they can call me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to add your information to the episode, to the end of the episode. I'm going to add the, to the captions below, and they can reach out they can look at your website, or they can give you a call and come and see you. But this was really, really amazing. I think I've learned a lot from you today.
Thank you. I'm also on Instagram. I forgot.
Okay.
Like it's new for me.
Okay.
Someone else is doing it. It's just amazing. But you can reach me there too, because I know this is like Instagram time where everyone's on that. So
exactly.
That's another way to reach me. But yeah, this has been amazing. I could talk to you all day.
I know.
So much fun. So thank you for having me. And please, anyone reach out. And if people want training, I'll get them connected with Minal for training also. So
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.